you get a picture of this. He comes in, his two children are playing outside, and they're kind of dirty, and they just look up at Dad like. He walks in the house. It looks like a burglar's been in there. Tables are turned over. There's stuff thrown on the floor. Some stuff is broken. He's looking through. He keeps looking, and he walks in the kitchen, and there's like a huge pile of dirty dishes, and the whole kitchen's a mess. And he starts calling his wife's name out. She doesn't answer. He goes through and he sees more of the house is just torn up. I mean, it's just like there's stuff all over the stairs. He walks up the stairs and he sees her foot. And I'll tell you the truth, you think, oh my gosh, something bad's happened to this woman. And he opens up the door and she's sitting there on the phone, or on the laptop, just sitting there. And he walks in and he goes, is everything okay? She said, I took the day off. That's what happened after one day. Just one day. She said it was Mother's Day. I thought I could take off today. And he said, yes, you can, sweetheart. I'll clean up the mess. But that's what she dealt with every day. And I thought, yeah, I've seen it. If it wasn't for those mothers that are picking up constantly, amen? Constantly, following us around. You know, I got to this morning, I also saw one that was not so cute. It was a little girl crying on a bench, and a man has a rose, and he goes to pick up, and he's getting flowers for his mother, and he just gives the money to the vendor and says, listen, deliver these. These are my mom's address. This is her. I want you to give her, a dozen roses, and here's her address, and here's the money to pay for it. There's this little girl crying, and he goes, what's wrong? And she called him uncle, but she goes, she said, I was wanting to give one rose, but I don't have enough money to get it. He said, I can take care of that. And so he bought the little girl a rose. And she says, I'm having it's a long ways to go. And so he says, I'll give you a ride to where you're going. He says, I was wanting to get it for my mom. So he takes her. And he takes her to the cemetery. And she lays a rose on her. And he starts just boo-hooing. He goes back to that flower shop. And he gets that money. Or he leaves the money. He says, give me the flowers. And he takes them to his mom himself. The truth is that we don't have our moms forever. Amen? And I was one of those kids this morning. There's some of us in here. I called my mom, and my mom was a mother that chose me. Was adopted, and she chose to make me her child. And I told her, I love you, and thank you for choosing me. I appreciate what you do. Amen? I appreciate moms, and this morning I'd like to talk to you about mothers. I think we have some little ones that have to go finish a project in their class. So if you're in Sister Carolyn's class, they are making the most beautiful gift for their mothers. They worked on this the other night, and they're still working on it. They worked on it this morning. They're still working on it. Amen? Perfection takes time. That's why I keep going back and body. My wife likes to put on all those lotions and stuff like that. I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm all for that. I like it when she smells good and feels soft. Amen? I debate it. Sometimes I'm like, I know it's Mother's Day, but maybe I need it. But I'll be honest with you. I felt like that I needed to preach a Mother's Day message because, I don't know how else to put this, but I don't think we realize I don't think people in this world realize how important the role of a good mother is.
Right.
Brother Lynn was right earlier when he said this. He said, without mothers, there wouldn't be any of us. The fact is you can get by without, there's families that don't have brothers and sisters. But everybody has a mother. Everybody has a mother. We came from somewhere, amen? And our mothers play such an important role. I'd like to read to you from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 10 through 31. And I know this is a few scriptures, but I want you to see something in these scriptures. A wife of noble character, who can find? Brother Scott, I got to tell you, who can find one? Because, years ago, that could be said about a lot of mothers, that you could find them. But I got to tell you, the further and further we go off in getting closer to the end of this thing, the closer we get to the end of the story, which is called mankind, and we get to God's finish of this thing, you can see, it's like I told somebody about Revelation. Some people say, I've heard people say, I think that Revelations, if we can pray hard enough and if we do enough work, that it won't happen. And I'm like, well, what kind of nonsense is that? Nowhere in the Bible does it say that, when I read Revelation, nowhere does it say that it's not going to happen. The truth is, things are going to get worse. Does that mean that we don't do our part? Heaven forbid. That's where we as Christians have to shine all the brighter. We as characters, male and female both, need to do our parts to the best of our abilities. Amen? And the truth is that I look at a wife of noble character, who can find one? I say all the time that I got married at 17, right before my senior year. Me and my wife got married. In 35, it'll be 36 years this year. I look back and I think, wow, what was I blessed? I actually had an opportunity, Brother Lynn, for a girl I had a crush on forever. I had an opportunity to go out with her, and came up time, and I found out that somebody came up to me and said, Carolyn Earie's got a crush, has a crush on you. I'm like, what? And I'll be honest with you, I never even thought about Carolyn that way. But something inside me just went. And I broke off a date with a girl that was, hey, how many younger ones know? She was a senior. I was only a sophomore. She was a pretty girl in school. I was like, My friend said, talk to Carolyn after the date. Go out on the date. You can't break the date with Shoni. I was like, I know, but I really feel like, maybe she finds out about it and she doesn't like me anymore. I said, I've got to try this. And 36 years later, I go, wow, thank you, God, for changing my mind, and changing my heart, and showing me, Kenny, this is the woman. This is the life partner. This is a woman of noble character. You're not going to find many like her. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like a merchant ship, brings her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portion for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. And with her earnings, she plants a vineyard. I read this, and I read some of this, and I'm like, so let me get this right. She has to take care of the house, and she has man, this is a lot for this lady to take on. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. When my wife was having my last baby, our last child, I was holding her hand, and she was having her contractions. And God is my witness. I was praying, literally praying, God, let this baby come out and let her let go of my hand. I don't think. This is 28 years ago. I'm in the prime of my life. I'm a stout guy. I've worked construction all my life, and I am praying, God, let her let go of my hand. I didn't do it because I'm like, this is the least I can do is sit here and let her squeeze my hand. But I'll be honest with you, I believe if it had been a metal rail, it had been pinched in two. Their arms are strong, men. Don't ever doubt it. It comes from working so hard for this family. In her hand, she holds the distaff and the grasp of the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for their beds. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is respected in the city gates, where he takes the seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sash. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the day's end, or the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is in her tongues. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? I found that a lot of times your kids won't listen to dad, but they'll almost always listen to mom for some reason. Maybe because she's been giving him instruction since they were babies. Amen. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive. Beauty is fleeting. But a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her work bring praise at the city's gate. I'd like to pray. Father, I pray right now, God, that you help me, Lord Jesus, to bring forth your word, Lord Jesus, and let us realize, Lord God, God, the critique and the words that I have just spoken, Lord God, you might say the guidelines for a good mother. Lord Jesus, I'm thinking, wow. I think, Lord, how can this be done? How can a woman come up? How can a woman do all these things? Nobody's perfect. But God, I realize, Lord Jesus, that all things are possible if we rely on you. In Jesus, your name, I pray. I titled this message this morning, Sacrifice. Because to me, that's what a mother is. A mother lays down, you know, it says in the Bible, no greater love hath a man than he that layeth down his life for a friend. Right. Can I tell you something? There's no greater love than a mother because they lay down their life for their children. Right. What they wanted, what they desired. My wife got married at 17. She was top of her class. She didn't get to go to college. Why? Because she had a family and we just couldn't afford it. She had to raise kids. We had a baby somewhere around our senior year. In the middle of our senior year, we had a kid. She raised those children. She put aside, and to this day, Brother Eddie, she puts aside what she wants for anything those kids want. And now, it's whatever those grandkids want. But she still doesn't leave out the kids. She still doesn't leave out me. I see her going, when I'm completely wore out and can't go another inch, I'm sitting there on the couch in the easy chair going, baby, sit down, please. I can't stand it. And she's just wearing me out. And where they find the strength to do what they do, ladies, I got to tell you, I don't know where it comes from. I can tell you this, that God gives a woman strength that has to come from Him. Has to come from Him. And I'm saying these things, and I read you this long, long list of what a good mother, how she sacrifices of her time, of her abilities, of her life. Amen? Did you ever think about that? The time that they're done with the kids and the grandkids, and then it comes along the great-grandkids, there really isn't much time left for me, for them. Sister Cherie said, I won't be here tonight. I can't go tonight. Why? She's going to work. She's here with the kids this morning. She got to go work tonight. Mother's Day. Why? It's called sacrifice. It's called she cares about Michaela more than she does herself. She cares about Dakota more than she does herself. Amen? Mothers, and I'm saying all this and I realize, you know, I said right at the beginning of this, and I was praying and God put it in my heart, nobody's perfect. I have a mother that gave me up for adoption, and 49 years later she started calling me. And she talks to me with tears in her eyes saying, I don't blame, my brother won't even talk to her. Because he was adopted also. The same family adopted us both. But separated us brothers up. I had two other brothers and they ended up going to different ones. She hates what happened. She hates that she made a mistake. And I talked to her yesterday and I told her I love her. Mothers are not perfect. They're not. It's hard. I'll tell you the truth, I don't think I'll ever come across anybody much more close to perfect than the lady in there. And I know each one of you, I know that Scott's thinking that about the lady he's holding. I know everyone here, their mothers are those people. But if you have mothers that are not perfect, and maybe you had the example of a mother that was not perfect, that doesn't negate us from trying to work harder. The truth is that I'm looking out here and I'm looking at a bunch of mothers. I think there were 17 here this morning. Truth is, there was about 10 that weren't here this morning. I was like, oh man, I really missed them this morning. But I'm sure their kids are wanting to do something neat. But as I look out and I look at Lila, as I look at little Bentley, my granddaughter, Scarlett, as I look at these little ones, I think she must be in the floor. Who's in the floor down there? Yeah, that's what I thought. As I look at each one of these little ones, I want you to listen to me this morning. If God holds off and God waits, and He tarries a little bit, someday Scarlett will be a mother. And the fact is, we need each one of these young ladies to know what it means to be a good mother.
Right.
Because I want to tell you something. I realize that as the world has gone on, somewhere along the line, if this is you, don't kick yourself. You know what I say to everybody, and this is something the Lord has put in my spirit, especially the last couple of months? What was doesn't mean anything. What is what matters. What will be, that's what matters. Don't worry about your past. Don't worry about what you have done. Have I made mistakes? Oh my goodness. You know, it says that the libraries and the books, you couldn't put all the miracles of God. Well, I think that's the way it is about the mistakes I've made. It would fill up more than the libraries can hold of the mistakes I've made. But what was has nothing to do with what can be. You mothers that are here, if you sit there and as I read this, if you see yourself as going, man, I have got to put my needs before. I'm not here to kick you. I'm not here to knock you. Jesus didn't say this. It says, what does John 3:16 say? Everybody knows John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. But nobody ever looks at 17. For He didn't come into this world to condemn us. I'm not here to condemn you. I'm here to say, don't worry about the fact that you weren't a great mother for whatever time you've been a mother. The truth is, I have been cutting my mother slack, especially since last Mother's Day, when I realized, when I preached to the church and I was preaching, and I realized, even though I said I never had any feelings, I actually had hatred towards her because of what she had done. And the Lord said, Kenny, you can't hate her. She's human. She made a mistake. What was has nothing to do with what can be. The fact is, I hope to get to see her in August. Will she ever take the place of the one that chose me and raised me? No. Sister Felicia, I pray that these young people, Kamari, Brest, and Brayton, and even Kalia someday go, listen, I know right now they think, I don't know if I'll ever, yeah. Someday you'll appreciate the sacrifice that she made for you. And you'll realize that sacrifice, there's a word for that. L-O-V-E. There are three things. Three great things. Faith, hope, and love. But the Bible says the greatest of these is love. And that's what makes the sacrifice. That's what makes us step up. Why am I preaching this morning? Because I have rode the bus before. I have actually picked up kids on the bus before. And I see children every day, and when they get off the bus, some of the children that go to church, they're not here this morning, but some of them that will be here tonight, some of them, when I let them off the bus, they would tell me, my mother's in prison right now. That's where their mother is. Some of them will tell you that their mothers have passed away. You'd be surprised how many of the 60 or 75 kids that come to this church, how many of them, they don't have mothers, don't have fathers. And the truth is, why am I preaching this morning? Because we are there for them. Amen? Right. What has been does not matter. What can be, that's what we have to keep our eyes on, keep our focus on. If you are a mother that has fallen short, fine. There's nothing, can you do anything about what you didn't do? Can't change one iota about what the past has done. I can't change one thing that's happened in the past. But I can change from this moment forward. But as I read this to you, did it not look like that this was almost an impossible task? Work all day, worry about it, try to teach them, try to train them, make sure they got good, how many of them? Make sure they got warm clothes when it's cold. Make sure that they're not cutting their own hair, that you're getting their hair cut. Maybe some of these things that making sure they're fed, making sure they're clean, making sure their teeth are brushed. You know, someday they're going to be out of this house. You would like to make sure that at least when they got 18, they still have at least a few of their teeth. Amen. So you make sure their teeth are brushed. Silly things. You know, one of the things I realize is I look at I have to use my own. I don't have anybody else. You all have to just look at your own lives. She's the one that remembers all the birthdays. I have no clue. They're my children a lot of times, and I'm going, and I can actually remember the kids' birthdays. It's the grandkids that gets kind of like, oh, who's this boy? She remembers them all. Your mom's birthday. My mom's birthday. She remembers. Maybe I don't remember. Isn't that, I don't know, but yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Thank you, sweetheart. I need to call her. I need to do something about that. She's taking care of the world, it seems like. And I look at this task and I go, man, how could she be all these things to all these people and all these times? How could she be how could she have strength to do? With God, all things are possible. With God, all things are possible. What is the difference today, mothers, and you young ladies that are here? Listen to me. Lila, listen to me. Someday, if the Lord tarries, you might be a mother. Not tomorrow. Not the next 20 years. 20 years from now, brother, maybe. Maybe 20 years from now, Dad will let you get married. Yeah. Maybe 20 years. He said, no, I got a spot. I've got a thing planned for her room right now. She gets I knew Brother Scott was probably thinking that. No, he probably wanted to say something cocky like that because it's 3 years. You know, I was like, yeah, that sounds like Dad. But the fact is, Lila, I'm trying to tell you, is the one mistake that a lot of us made is we didn't ask God to help us to be what we needed to be. As mothers, we can still be what we need to be. I don't care if they're 5, 10, 15, or 25. It's never too late to be a good mother. Why? Because God is still God. He is still able to lead, guide, and direct us. He's able to teach us and show us the mistakes that we make. That doesn't make a difference. The fact is, my mother could have went off into eternity and never have called me. I know that shame, how many of y'all know what that means? I know that sometimes guilt and shame will sit there and try to get you to stop from doing it. But instead she said, you know what?